Morning. From a bit twisted. So I'm out here with a bucket full of fiber ready to go into the retting tank. Here's my retting tank. This is one of those big Rubbermaid watering troughs. It's 100-gallon, and so you can see I've left seed pods on because these are plants that were pulled early and the seed pods are not mature. So they'll stay on. They'll just come off when we're done processing. So we'll kind of alternate back and forth and put all of this that's in here into the bucket. So I'm gonna put this down for a moment and we'll get right back. Okay, took a second, finished filling the bucket, emptied my barrow, put it in the retting tank. So now I'm gonna go out and get the pieces to put on top of my flax to keep the flax under the water, and you'll see how I set that up here in just a second. Be right back. Okay, so I take some big pieces, put them across the very bottom, 2 of them, and then I just stack a bunch on top, and then I have 2 going across the top, and I'm going to get a couple more pieces across the top to hold the stones, and once it reaches there, the stones will be heavy enough to keep everything pushed under the water, because if it's not under the water, it's just going to sit on top and not ret as well, and but it will float up off the bottom, and that way it's like having stones on it like they used to do a long time ago in the ponds. This works really well. So anyway, let me get the stones. I get this stuff all ready before I put anything else on, and we'll show you how it works. All right, so now you can see how I have this set up. So I took a couple boards from underneath, put them on top to support my stones. I'm using these stones here. So I have 4 stones because the floating action is enough to float 2 stones without any trouble. So I see 1 bundle of flax here that needs to kind of go under because it's going to want to come out. Once I fill it up with water. So my cross pieces in my new tank could be a little wider, but for now I think we'll do just fine. Just kind of do some adjustments here. Okay, so now you can see I have stones, and I did some fine adjustments, and I have 4 stones because in the past this setup here has easily lifted 2. So 4 stones is usually enough for the amount I have in here. So I have about half full of flax, and then we'll fill it with water and we'll let it sit. And this is going to take about a week. So right now it's kind of getting some sun, but this is early morning and we're really hot out here. But by afternoon, we're underneath a walnut tree that's out on the back part of the property, and it'll be shade all day, even into the hottest part of the day. So the water itself will not get above temperature where it will kill the bacterial action that's needed to ret this stuff. And after 3 days, we'll come out here and start taking samples, set those samples in the hot sun and let them dry, and see how easily they break from the stalk. And then once they're ready, we'll drain it. I may rinse it a little bit, but basically I'm just going to drain it, and then we just take it out in that open area out here and lay it out on the ground and let it dry. So I'm going to go turn the water on and we're going to start filling the tank. So filling it with a hose, and we're quite a ways away from the house, so we don't have to worry about stink out here. And with my neighbors, we're way away from their house, so they don't have to deal with it either. And nobody works in their work barn anymore either, so it just sits there. So back in a minute. All right, so you can see the water's coming up really good. So whatever is on the plants naturally, the yeasts and bacteria and all that, are going to feed on the pectins, carbohydrates of the plant, and help break down the bonds that hold the bark to the inner core. And that's what you want. So this way, also having all this stuff, so you can see now that we're pressing up against here. So my bucket's at a slight angle, so it's going to pour off on this side when it's full, which is fine. But that's where the flax is going to stay under the water. Some may pop up on the sides here a little bit. I'll just have to kind of tuck them down. But yeah, so this is just gonna slowly work its magic. And so right now the water's clear. Tomorrow morning, when we come out here, it's gonna have a darker color, and it's also gonna be foamy. It's gonna start foaming up. So it's a natural fermentation because there's lots and lots of yeast in here, and other bacteria will break down the sugars, and the yeast will eat the sugars, or break down the carbohydrates into simple sugars. Then yeast will do whatever it does with the sugars, and it's my flax beer basically, and I've called it that in the past. Is flax beer. Kind of smells like fermentation, so I'm quite sure it is. So you can see the water slowly creeping up the log, and bugs that are on here of all the wood and stuff, they'll be able to swim out. If there's any bugs in there, they'll come up, typically come up real fast, and then just crawl out. But if any bugs die, whatever the bugs have in them will add to the pool of bacteria and all that good stuff. So this is where we're at, and gonna go ahead and get this set up here in just a second. Once the water goes over the edge, I'm going to turn this off, and then we're just going to leave it set. And right now the water's cool because it's coming from the ground, from the well. So we have to let it warm up to ambient temperature. And once it's at ambient temperature, then things start happening quickly. So here we go, getting ready. There we go, pouring over the side. So now we're done here, and now it's time to just let this do its thing. So now we can see flax is well underneath. So when it starts to foam up, it may create enough foam and actually lift. And we'll notice the lift over on this end here tomorrow. If that's the case, we can just knock some of the bubbles and it'll sink back down a little bit. Or just add another stone to the top. We got plenty of room to add stones. So this bundle here may want to float up to the top. I've got it partly tucked up underneath to help hold it. But adjustments are necessary, part of the process. It is stinky, but it's not nasty. At least not to me. I don't have an issue with dealing with this stuff at all. But we'll come out here later today, and you'll probably see a change in color. And bubbles are going to come up. You might see bubbles coming up from underneath, and those are just trapped air from the flax, and those will all get released. But now anything that's there is going to start coming to life because it now has water, or the universal solvent. So it'll start activating all those that have been sitting dormant. And like I said, as this water warms up to ambient temperature, things are going to start happening quickly. So it is, let me see what time it is. Okay, so it is 10:07 on August 9th, Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Daylight Time, which I'm hoping is going to become Pacific Standard Time. I don't like this daylight savings time stuff. So water's still coming out. And so with this tank, I shouldn't have the rust issue like I had with this tank here. This tank had the rusting, and it took not too many 2 years, and all this galvanization on the outside here that was inside is just eaten away. And so that was unacceptable for me. So I went ahead and got a poly tank. I'm not partial to plastics, but poly is going to last a long time. Poly is recyclable, so when it comes to the end of its life, it'll get recycled. So that I don't have an issue with at this point in the game. And plastics have made this world good, but we've also made it bad because we just willy-nilly throw it away and made plastics that were unusable anymore, and that was a problem. It's not that the plastic itself is the issue, it's the way we use it. So anyway, I'm going to use this for many years. So this will produce a straw color instead of a gray color, and that's what I want. I like the light straw color better, and then you can dye it, and then you can see what you're getting. And if you want that gray color back into it, just put a little bit of iron in the dye bath, and you'll get that gray color back and mix in with your color. I prefer the natural color. The gray stuff is, yeah, it's okay. So anyway, we'll talk to you later. I'm gonna get my tree watered here. I gotta get a sprinkler put onto here, but for now I'm letting the water run until I grab the sprinkler. That's why you hear all that. So there you have it, August 8th, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'll revisit this tomorrow morning. Talk to you later. Bye.